A crush makes one person move closer. It makes another person step back. One sends a second message. The other rewrites the same reply 6 times. Opposite behavior can begin with the same feeling. That is why a hidden crush does not have one universal look. Romantic interest raises attention and raises the stakes. Some people express that energy, others manage it. The useful question is not which gesture proves attraction. It is how a person's pattern changes when one particular person enters the scene. Picture 2 friends at the same table. The first becomes brighter around a crush. They ask follow-up questions. Their body turns toward the conversation. They create another reason to stay. The second friend becomes unusually controlled. Their replies get shorter. Their hands stay busy. They leave before anyone can notice how much they care. Both patterns can be real. Both can also mean something else. Warmth may be friendship. Distance may be distraction. A late reply may be work. Human behavior is reusable. The same action can serve several motives. Researchers have tested how readable romantic interest actually is. In one study, observers watched clips of people on speed dates. Clips as short as 10 seconds carried enough information for some predictions. The observers did better than random guessing overall. But the important result was variation. Some daters were easy to read. Others appeared to mask their intentions. Some observers were better than others. The middle and end of a date were more informative than the opening. That tells us something practical. Interest is not a frozen pose. It is a developing interaction. A photograph of crossed arms loses the sentence that came before it. A single smile loses who caused it. A 10-minute conversation reveals change, timing, and response. The same study also found that observers read male interest more accurately. Their judgments of female interest were only just above chance. That does not create a universal rule that men reveal and women conceal. It describes one study in one speed dating context. The safer conclusion is that readability differs across people and situations. So what makes an expressive crush easier to notice? Look for voluntary approach. The person finds reasons to begin contact. They keep the exchange alive after the original reason ends. They remember a detail and bring it back later. Their attention returns even when the room offers other choices. None of those actions is proof alone. Together they form a stronger pattern because they require repeated investment. A smile costs almost nothing. Remembering your exam date and checking on it 3 days later costs attention. Suggesting a specific next meeting costs initiative. Eye contact is another familiar clue. It is useful only when treated carefully. A dual eye tracking study measured both people during real 5-minute speed dates. Participants were more likely to choose partners with whom they shared more eye contact. Receiving eye contact also predicted an individual's choice. That result does not turn gaze into a detector. People use eye contact differently. Culture, comfort, neurotype, power, and the topic can change it. The study shows that shared visual attention can be part of make choice. It does not show that every long look is a confession. The interaction matters more than the stare. Does eye contact arrive when you say something personal? Does it return after an interruption? Does the person notice your reaction and adjust? Responsive gaze carries more information than somebody looking in your direction while thinking about lunch. Movement can carry another piece of the pattern. Researchers measured subtle body sway during real speed dates. They did not find that simple movement similarity predicted long-term interest. The useful signal was directional coupling. One person's motion helped predict the other's next motion. In plain language, the bodies were responding to each other. They were not striking identical poses. The movement formed a loose exchange. This fits what good conversation often feels like. One person leans in, the other makes room. One voice softens, the other stops rushing. Coordination is still not a secret code. People coordinate with friends, co-workers, teachers, and strangers. Interest is one possible context. The clue becomes more meaningful when it joins voluntary approach, sustained attention, and reciprocal follow-through. Now consider the guarded crush. The person may care so much about the outcome that normal behavior becomes harder. Instead of moving toward the feeling, they begin monitoring themselves. Was that message too eager? Did that laugh sound strange? Am I staring? Do they know? This self-monitoring can create behavior that looks like indifference. A reply is delayed because every version feels revealing. A conversation ends early because staying feels risky. A person who talks easily in a group becomes formal one-on-one. The emotional energy is present. The visible behavior is restraint. Psychologists call beliefs about how others see us metaperceptions. They are not direct readings of another mind. They are our estimates of the impression we are making. Those estimates can shape whether an interaction feels safe enough to continue. A 2026 analysis used data from naturalistic speed dating. It included 214 participants and 1,730 pairings. The researchers compared several ways of measuring bias and accuracy in metaperceptions. People who believed they were seen more positively often reported more romantic interest. Some forms of accurate metaperception were also associated with receiving more interest. The details were mixed. Different analytical approaches emphasized different effects. The data were cross-sectional, so they could not prove which process caused the other. Interest might improve social accuracy. Social accuracy accuracy might support smoother behavior. A third factor could influence both. That uncertainty is valuable. It stops us from turning guarded behavior into a diagnosis. Someone may withdraw because they fear exposure. They may also be tired, private, unavailable, or uninterested. The outside movement looks similar. The surrounding pattern separates the possibilities. Use 3 tests before you label anything a hidden crush. The first is baseline change. Ask what this person is normally like. Quiet behavior means little if they are quiet with everyone. It becomes more interesting if a confident speaker suddenly loses rhythm around one specific person. The opposite matters too. A generally reserved person may become unusually animated in one exchange. They offer longer answers. Their face responds faster. They stay after the group begins leaving. The signal is not the absolute amount of warmth. It is the difference from their ordinary range. Baseline protects you from generic body language myths. Crossed arms may be a habit. A downward gaze may be concentration. Fast replies may be normal phone use. Compare the person with themselves before comparing them with a checklist. The second test is a cluster. Do not build a story from one cue. Look for several forms of behavior pointing in the same direction. Attention returns. Details are remembered. Opportunities are created. The person responds to bids for connection. Their effort survives more than one setting. A guarded cluster can look different. They avoid obvious public attention but seek quieter contact later. They give a short answer in the group and send a thoughtful message afterward. They step back during teasing but remember the exact detail that everyone else forgot. Again, the cluster is not proof. It is a reason to stay curious. A strong interpretation needs consistency over time and across channels. Words, timing, initiative, attention, and follow-through should tell roughly the same story. The third test is reciprocity. What happens after you offer a small, safe opening? You ask a personal but ordinary question. Do they answer and ask one back? You suggest coffee next week. Do they choose a time? You share a small preference. Do they remember it later? Reciprocity converts vague chemistry into observable participation. Someone does not need to perform perfect confidence. They do need to contribute. If every conversation, plan, and repair depends on one person, then the useful pattern is not hidden attraction. It is missing reciprocity. This rule is especially important online. Reply speed is easy to overread because the screen removes context. A person can care and reply late. They can reply instantly and want nothing beyond entertainment. The better evidence is whether the exchange develops. Do they return after a delay with substance? Do they answer the part that mattered? Do they initiate on another day? Do they help move a plan from vague language to a real time and place? A clock measures delay. It does not measure motive. Teasing creates another trap. Some people become playful around a crush. Others become careful because teasing risks embarrassment. The useful difference is not whether teasing exists. It is whether the play remains kind, responsive, and welcome. If a joke makes you uncomfortable and the person adjusts, that shows attention. If they ignore the reaction and continue, attraction would not make the behavior healthier. Interest explains very little if respect is missing. Jealousy is even less useful as proof. Possessive behavior can appear without care, compatibility, or consent. It can also make an ordinary friendship feel unsafe. Do not reward control because it resembles intensity. The strongest signs of healthy interest create choice instead of pressure. Healthy approach sounds like this. I enjoy talking with you. Would you like to do this again? Healthy guarding can still move toward clarity. I get nervous saying this, but I would like to know you better. Both versions allow the other person to answer freely. That is why direct communication outranks decoding. You do not need a dramatic confession. A small, specific invitation is enough. Suggest one activity and one window of time. The response gives cleaner information than another week of analyzing eye contact. An enthusiastic yes is clear. A no is clear. A vague answer followed by no alternative is useful too. It may not reveal every feeling. It reveals the current level of participation. Relationships grow from available behavior, not from motives you have to excavate. There is also an ethical reason to stop at curiosity. Labeling someone as secretly attracted can make every boundary look like a puzzle. Distance becomes denial. Silence becomes hidden intensity. A refusal becomes fear. That story removes the other person's ability to mean what they say. Keep the interpretation reversible. You might be noticing interest. You might be noticing friendliness, nerves, or coincidence. Let new evidence change the story. Respect direct words and repeated choices more than your favorite explanation. Return to the two friends at the table. One leans in and asks another question. The other leaves early and sends a careful message later. Either person might have a crush. The difference is how they manage uncertainty. Read the change from baseline. Look for a cluster instead of one gesture. Test for reciprocal follow-through with a small, safe opening. Then let direct communication do the job that body language cannot. A crush can make someone obvious. It can make someone guarded. What matters is not how well they hide the feeling. It is whether both people can build a respectful path toward clarity. Please subscribe for more animated investigations of the signals between people.